Good morning, everyone. My name is Corrina, and I'm walking out to my barn to feed the horses. So it is before dawn on Friday, November 17th, 2023. As you can see, it's a little bit of a journey from the house to the barn. We're about to cross the creek, which finally has some water in it. It's not flowing very fast. But back up here, there's the pond, the outflow, and it's probably hard to see because it's so dark, but you can see that there's a little bit of water in there. And that's the house through the trees, and there's the barn. So I will close this for now and catch up in a little bit. There's Odin waiting very expectantly for his breakfast, and it looks like Bragi is in Odin's stall. There he is. Hi, Bragi. Breakfast time. Go to your own stalls. See if they actually do that. Greetings, everyone. My name is Corrina. Welcome to my podcast. You've probably seen the earlier segment that I did walking out the barn to feed the horses, and today I am going to start and end with horses because I have a riding lesson coming up in a couple of hours, and I don't know if I'm going to get any video because it's hard to do that when I'm riding, but I may talk about it for a little bit, just talk about what I've learned. So welcome. Normally in this podcast, I usually start out with knitting and end with horsemanship stuff. So I'm just kind of changing things up a little bit. I'm kind of practicing for Vlogmas. I'm looking down. You probably saw a cat come in behind me when I first started this. The cat it's Harley. He is in the window, which is a good place for him because he's not trying to eat my yarn. So welcome. Welcome back. If you are a returning listener, viewer, listener or viewer, hopefully you have a project to work on and something nice to drink. I myself am drinking some stash tea. This is the, there goes the kitty again. That's her Harley. I am drinking, I think it's Sunny Ginger. Pretty tasty. It's a sunny day, as you can see. I do have the curtain closed a little bit, but the sun is just in that spot where it's going to come through the window. It is Friday, November 17th, 2023. It's a lovely autumn day. It's been quite cold, so below freezing, lots of frost in the morning, and then warming up to about the mid-40s during the day. So no worries about frozen pipes quite yet, so that's all good. I do leave my barn hose running at night if it's below 30, just because it's not super well protected out there, and I do need water for the horses. I live in the Pacific Northwest in Washington State, in the very northwest corner of the state, with my partner and our two kitties, one of whom you have seen, Harley. I'm not sure what he's up to, but he's got some kitty things to do, and his litter mate Herbert, and then my two horses that I mentioned, Odin the Mustang and Bragi the Mustang. Those horses I adopted from the Bureau of Land Management Wild Horse Adoption Program. I have had Odin since 2018. He is 11, and he's my riding horse. So he was gathered and gelded and started under saddle in 2018, and then I got him in July of that year. So still pretty fresh off the range. So I said he was gathered and gelded. I didn't say when. It was in January of that year. So he wasn't in holding very long, holding being the corrals in Burns, Oregon. And he got a really nice start from a trainer in Northwest Oregon. And then Bragi I got in 2020, in March of 2020. He was maybe 2 years old at the time. Definitely a gangly teenager. I got him after my retired thoroughbred passed away in February, and Odin really needed a buddy because horses are herd animals and they just do much better with somebody to hang out with. So, shall we get started on the knitting content? I am recording, usually I record about every other week, but I actually have another finished object, which I have on my feet, so I'm going to have to take those off. The Sofia's Tales, which I have the link to that podcast in my show notes or the description box. I'm going to take off one of the socks so I can show you. I love these socks. This was her fall knit along. I really like this pattern. I guess I would describe it, it's basically a rib pattern. The yarn is, I think it's lolodidit is the yarn. And then the heels, cuffs, heels, and toes are a hand-dyed yarn from Jadawoo, an independent yarn dyer. And I'm going to put that sock back on. But yeah, I love these socks. I love their squishy feel. They fit really nice. I use a size 0, which is a 2mm needle, Chadawoo red lace. I am plugging my computer back in because I managed to unplug it while I was maneuvering. I knit magic loop. I knit left-handed, so my gauge is a little loose. So I cast on 56 stitches, and I really like the way that they feel. These socks are not blocked. I don't block my socks. I just wear them and then throw them in the washing machine. They're generally superwash yarn, and just throw them in the washing machine with my regular laundry, and then put them on a rack to dry. So yes, finished object. Yay. I'm not knitting as many socks now because the little tiny needles kind of hurt my thumbs, especially my left thumb. So I'm trying to knit projects with bigger needles. And I use my hands a lot in the horse chores, picking manure with a pitchfork and moving hay bales and picking up bags of grain, all that kind of stuff. Put some wear and tear on my thumb, so I'm trying to be nice to it. Okay, I have my computer in my lap so I can refer to my notes. This is episode 43. I started in April of, must have been last year. I'm guessing 2022. Yes, because last year I did my first Vlogmas. And I plan on doing Vlogmas again this year. So it's basically a daily check-in. I kind of went overboard on the Advent calendars. I guess it's an Advent calendar. So I will be probably opening a ridiculous amount of Advents this year and doing some knitting. I'm looking forward to that. I have one project in mind. Hopefully the yarn matches the project that I have in mind. And then I am doing the Bakery Bears Christmas knit along. And I'll show you that yarn in a minute. What am I wearing? So this is a Berroco sweater. I don't remember the name of it. It's just a simple one cable down the front. The rest is garter. I knit this on the round. I wear this sweater a lot. It's a worsted weight wool. I may think of what the pattern, Udina is the name of the pattern. So I'm pretty sure it was a free pattern. It's 3/4 length sleeves. I have it a little bit, because it's been cold out, I layered it with a turtleneck underneath. And then when I went to town this morning, I put on a cowl too. A cowl you have seen before. So it's the Telly Bean Knits. It was the Halloween cowl, which is just a really nice autumn cowl. So what am I working on? I am still working on the Stephen West MKAL that ended the end of October, I believe. I'm making progress. It's slow progress. This is kind of my evening knitting. It's 4 colors of fingering weight yarn. Am I showing you the right side? No, I'm showing you the wrong side. Here is the right side. And right now it is one side at a time. So this side here, these 2 sides, is basically the end of the square, the center square. And then the 2 sides that I'm working on, and I am probably in the middle of the road because there's just a lot of stitches on here. I used Jadawoo red lace, 2 sets of, I believe these are size 4. I could check because I have the needle case right here. Yes, US 4, so 3.5 millimeter. I have seen what the finished ones look like, and I like them. So I am basically planning on knitting this until I run out of yarn. And I'll talk about the yarn here in a minute. It's all fingering weight, but this side here, which is kind of hard to show, it's kind of a neat striped, I guess you could call it kind of a lace pattern. So, and I assume that that's what's going to happen on this side too. This, like I said, this is going to be a long-term project. I'm in no hurry. I don't knit very fast, and I don't particularly care to. So the yarn is, this is the Legacy yarn. I have talked about Legacy yarns before in previous episodes where it was gifted to me by Randy's aunt Gail, who was invited to shop from this really nice yarn stash of a woman who was going into memory care. So this is color A, this kind of nice gray and green. Let's see if I can find the label, because one of these is I bet this is lolodidit. Yeah, this is the lolodidit, and it's Hippo for St. Patty's in 2019. So yeah, really nice yarn. It's a, I believe this is, yeah, it's superwash merino and cashmere and nylon, so it feels really nice. Color B is this Angelic merino. I'm put links in the show notes. So this is kind of a blue, dusty blue, still a cold color. And then this is color C. This is the Jadawoo hand-dyed yarn. I don't remember what this colorway is. Let me see if I can get the tag out. Aliens. Okay, and this is a superwash merino and nylon 75/25. Really, again, it feels really nice. Nice soft yarn. This is going to be a wonderful shawl. And then this is another Angelic, and I believe the Angelic, I don't think it has color way names. I think they're numbers. So that's what this project is. I actually did a gauge swatch, which I just wanted to see if the colors would work out. So what I did is I had a different yarn. This stripe here is a Ray Whiting Knitivity yarn, hand-dyed yarn, and it just kind of disappeared in with these other colors. So I went in the other direction and added this blue, and I think that really tied it together. So let me kind of put that like that. So that was one of my very few successful gauge swatches. So I'm not a fan of gauge swatching. It has kind of bit me a few times, but I have also done gauge swatches where the garment didn't fit me anyway. So yeah. So a lot of times I just take my chances. But it is nice if you want to see how your colors are going to work out. I am also working on, you have seen this before. I'm going to move my computer, so I may need it back, but so I don't forget anything. But this project I had cast on last episode, and I made quite a bit of progress. So this is the Sofia Loren Riverside pullover. It's a bottom up. Let me straighten out the, this is an interesting sweater. So it has 3 colors that I will try to straighten out and show you here momentarily. It's heavily color work. So the red is actually a contrast color. It is contrast color 1. This kind of brownish gray is a natural sheep color. The yarn is from Harmony Fields Farm. It's a local farm here. And then this is contrast color 2. And this is also Harmony Fields. This is in the colorway Fromage, which I believe is just a natural color. And this is Truffle, which I believe is also a natural color. So I was surprised at how red this sweater is turning out, given that the red is a contrast color. And, but yeah, it is very red. The red is a Patons classic wool in worsted. I like the sweater. I knew it was going to be colorful, but I was really expecting it to be a lot more of the truffle color, which kind of fades in the background. I don't mind. It's, like I said, it's a bottom-up sweater. It's got some color work here, some plain stockinette, and it's got this kind of interesting rib section here. More stockinette. It's weird. This is going to turn it out orange. I'm not really sure why. It's just the pearl bumps against the white is kind of making it orange in the camera. And so this is every other stripe. Then this color work section here, this is the first time I've ever done 3 yarns in a row. So that was a little bit of a learning experience for me, but it's fine. And then I am back up in these areas are called color change sections. So there's a lot of charts. I showed this picture, the pattern. I want to say it's a free pattern, but I honestly don't know. This is in black and white that I printed, and there are these are the charts. This is from Silver Screen Knits Volume 2, and I read the whole introductory section last time about, so this was inspired by Woman of the River movie with Sofia Loren and an Italian actor who plays a handsome smuggler. So I love this. It's been really fun to knit. So that's one of the reasons why I've been making a lot of progress. Plus, it's larger needles. I think I'm using a US 7, and the ribbing might be a US 5. Let me look. These are, I think, the Knit Picks interchangeable needles, possibly a clover. The smaller needles might be clover. Oh, okay. So the smaller needles are US size 6, 4 millimeter, and the larger needles are US size 7, which are 4.5 meters. So millimeters. Yeah, really fun. There's some waist shaping. So I am through. It looks like I am coming up on this section right here. And then you split for the sleeves, knit the sleeves, and then finish the yoke. So I don't think I've ever knit a sweater in this construction before, but I'm really enjoying it. So I think it's probably going to be a little bit oversized, which is fine. The Harmony Fields yarn is quite rustic, and even the Patons classic wool is a bit rustic too, so I will undoubtedly wear a shirt, you know, a turtleneck or a button-down shirt, something underneath it. So I'm hoping to have this done by Christmas because I'd really like to wear it for Christmas. Okay, new cast on that you haven't seen yet It is pattern from this book, Knitting the National Parks. This is by Nancy Bates. So I decided I would knit the hats. It's all hats from the parks I have visited. So the first one I am doing is Acadia National Park, which is in Maine, on Mount Desert Island. So the inspiration for this, and I love the way that they show, they have a photo of what inspires, and it's the birch trees. So it's a color work pattern, fairly simple. It's just two colors. That's not true. There's 3 colors in this, but there's only ever 2 colors per row. So looking forward to that. I'm in the color work section, and I just wanted to give you a heads up what I think I'm going to knit next, possibly. So this park is in the Northeast region, and there's only 3 parks listed in this book for that region, and I haven't been to the other 2, New River Gorge and Shenandoah. I haven't been to either of those. Southeast region, I have been to Biscayne National Park. I lived in Florida when I worked for the Park Service after college, and Biscayne is near Everglades. So that is probably the one I'm going to do next. I think there are quite a number of colors in this one. And I don't know that I'm going to do this really in any particular order. There are 5 colors in this one. So really cool, very pretty. And then here's the photo. I never did any diving or snorkeling there, but I have done diving or snorkeling in the Florida Keys, and you know, it's all a very similar environment. Very pretty. But let me show you the Acadia National Park hat that I'm working on, the colors. So this is what I have so far. So my main color is gray, and it is out of the Patons Classic Wool. And I think I just, and then the contrast colors are the blue and black. I think honestly, I don't remember what these brands, could be Juniper Moon brands. So let me get the 3rd color. Oh look, Harley is right here. Oh, one of these is definitely a Cascade yarn, I think. Because that's the label I have in here, but wondering if it is from a different project. I am not sure, to be quite honest. So these are the 3 colors together. So I think it's going to be very pretty. Maybe not quite birchy, but you know, maybe it's more of a moody birch. Maybe that's what I should call this episode, is the Moody Birch hat. The Moody Birch Acadia National Park hat. So that's that. I expect that won't take very long. That's kind of my knitting on the go project, because it's small, although I do have to lug that big book around. I don't have to, I suppose. I could be smart and take a picture of the chart, but I have a big bag. I have not been showing my yarn bags. So my project bags. I have no idea where I got this. It's probably a bag that something came in it, and I was like, oh, what a cool bag. Undoubtedly, it's a cotton bag. This is the project that my sweater is living in, the Riverside Sweater. My sister-in-law gave me this for Christmas a couple years ago, and it is just a nice, you know, independent in the sense that it can sit up by itself. It does have these nifty little things here that the cats can very cleverly stick their paws in and pull out my project if they want to. So it lives on top of a table, a small table that they can't really get into it. The Stephen West shawl is in this Warm Beach Horsemanship program. So I volunteer for the lesson programs on Saturday mornings. And as a thank you, I got this nifty bag. I think you could use this as a little backpack if you wanted to. I thought it made a great knitting bag. And then, so what's coming up? The Bakery Bears, for their patrons, they have an annual Advent knit. And the theme this year is the Nutcracker. So I went into my stash and I picked colors that I'm looking at these needles. I'm not sure these are the needles that are for the project. If they are, these are Chalgu Red Lace, size 0, 2 millimeter, then it seems like it's going to be a sock, a pair of socks, which is fine. I am not working on any socks currently, and so my thumbs can have a rest. So 3 colors that remind you of the Nutcracker. I picked this blue gold and then this kind of red variegated color. It'll be interesting to see how it shows up. I think the recommendation was tonal yarns, which this is a Jadawoo navy. This is the yarn I used for the heels, cuffs, and toes for the Sophia's Tales mystery sock knit along that I am wearing currently. This is a Berroco ultra fine fingering weight, 100% wool in the color doesn't have a name, it's gold. And then this is, again, some of that legacy yarn. Really nice stuff. This is Ruby River, and it's hand-painted yarn from Mountain Colors from Corvallis, Montana. Very pretty. Has some gold in there, and I think the blue is going to complement very nicely. So I'm looking forward to starting that. That kicks off on December 1st. So who knows, maybe I'll have a pair of Christmas socks. So I mentioned the ridiculous number of Advents that I got. I know I got one from Legacy Fiber Arts. I did a scrappy exchange with someone that the Creabea organized. I have one from Polka Dot Creek. I watched the Crazy Sock Lady's Advent Vlogmas last year, and she opened Polka Dot Creek Advents all December, and I really liked them, so I ordered that. And I feel like there's another one too. So some of them are full skeins, some of them I think are minis. So there'll be more about that later. Okay. Because I have a lot of sock yarn and not really the ambition to knit that many socks anymore, maybe for special occasions, I bought a pattern book by Stephanie Lotvin, who is the creator of Tellybean Knits. And she is the one who designed the pattern for the Haunted House MKAL for that cowl, that Halloween cowl that was super fun to knit. And I love the shape of it. But she has a book on how to knit self-striping yarn that's not necessarily socks. So I bought this book, got it from Amazon. It came yesterday. I already have a pattern picked out that I think is going to be for Advent. I think this is going to be really great. It is called For the Thrill Shawl. And it calls for a main color, a contrasting color, and another contrasting color. So this is what it looks like finished. So I am thinking that the main color can be one of the self-striping yarns, probably an Advent yarn. Oh, that reminds me, Freckled Whimsy. I got an Advent from Freckled Whimsy, so I'm thinking that will probably be that stripy part. And then the other two, hoping that some of the other full skeins will contrast nicely with, to be contrast color 1 and contrast color 2. We'll see if that works out. There's a lot of patterns in here, a lot of shawl patterns, you know, projects that you can do with scraps. So that's pretty fun. I love these mittens. I do wear mittens when I'm driving. And then there's some, otherwise, or if I'm going for a walk and it's cold. She has a section in here on stash busting, and there's kind of a cool cowl that you could definitely, let me see if there we go. I think that works. And looking for some of the sweater patterns. So yeah, so she does some, I mean, like some of it's pretty obvious, like she calls this her sock arm cardigan, which I think is a good idea. Some of these are in DK weight. Here's one that's a really pretty color. Or sport weight. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to handle that yet, but that is my plan for using my stash of Freckled Whimsy sock yarn that it was in a monthly club. And in fact, I am waiting for the December package to come, which is not December yet. So, and then I'll cancel it because I have plenty of yarn. I don't need to buy yarn except to perhaps augment some. Kind of like that one. I'm not really sure. It almost looks like a shirt. It's like someone's wearing a long sleeve shirt under a t-shirt, which I actually do a lot. So I don't know. I mean, there could be some modifications. I really like this one. I think this is really neat, and this would be a neat self-striping sweater. So, so yeah, I'm looking forward to using this book, add it to my collection of books here, and I'll keep you updated. So I'm gonna get my computer again so I can see about what I am perhaps missing to talk about. Yeah, I put the yarns in my show notes. I have a list of resources for podcasts if you're interested, the ones that inspire me currently. I have a link in there about Bragi and Odin and the adoption part of it, and then a couple of more horsemanship podcasts that I listen to. Also, in the summertime, spring and summertime, I talk more about gardening. And so I have several gardening YouTube channels that I watch as well. It's still theoretically gardening season. Things are slowing down. I have kale in my garden, some mustard. My potatoes sadly died. We had a kind of a ridiculously hard freeze before the end of October, which is early for us. But there's other things out there. I need to plant garlic, and I haven't done it yet. I'd like to plant fava beans for spring harvest, but I haven't found a source yet. And also under the gardening section, I put a YouTube video of an Italian grandma cooks. It's called Buon Appetiti. So there's a link to that in the show notes, but it's really fun, and it's a Italian grandma cooking just various dishes, and I just find it really inspiring and looks delicious. Lots of vegetables, so pretty neat. And then reading. So I'm reading the No Dig Gardening book by Charles Dowd. He is a British fellow who's been gardening for many, many years. In fact, he has a market garden and he does lots of education and has published a couple books. So I'm reading his book. He also has, I'm stretching out my hands as I speak. He also has some recipes in there for natural cleaners and non-toxic cleaners and stuff like that. So pretty cool, including some laundry detergent. So that's pretty cool. And then sort of my brain candy reading is, I'm reading Lost and Hound, which is a Sister Jane mystery by Rita Mae Brown. So Rita Mae Brown has a series of mysteries that I really enjoy. One series is the Sneaky Pie Brown. Sneaky Pie Brown is a cat, and she and her other kitty companions and canine companions help the protagonist, Harry Harrison, solve mysteries, and it takes place in, I think, Central Virginia. And then Sister Jane is the fox hunting series, so there's a lot more riding and horses and stuff like that in that series. It's just really fun. So not super creepy or anything like that. Just a good old-fashioned murder mystery, I guess you could say. So that is it for at least this part. Like I said, I may record a little bit more after my writing lesson and maybe include some pictures of the horses. And I will also include a picture of the Corrin cardigan by the Creabea with the buttons sewed on. So that will be it, and I'll see you next time. Hi again. I am back after my writing lesson. So I haven't had a writing lesson on Odin in quite a long time. I would say at least a couple, 2 years probably. But I wanted to do some things with him to help him with his balance and coordination. Mostly I trail ride. I think I've mentioned that before. And my trainer, who is a dressage trainer and is also helping me with Bragi, gave me a lot of good ideas that I could just do in short increments while I'm here at home in my own round pen. Really anywhere I can do this. And I typically ride Odin in a bareback pad and a bridle. I am tempted to work with him without a bridle, and my trainer's going to bring me a bridleless setup I can try that she has for her horse, but apparently isn't using right now. So mostly what we worked on was just walking and stopping and making sure that he relaxes and isn't anticipating. I think that's the best way to describe this, because typically what happens is that we walk, we stop, and he starts trying to guess he gets fidgety. And what I want is just for him to wait and just wait till I give him an instruction. So the first thing that we did was that we just walked and we stopped. Great. And if he didn't fidget, then he got a reward, a cookie. And then the next step was to, after he was able to accomplish that like 3 times, then the next step was to walk, stop, and then when I got ready to do the next thing, which is picking up the reins and kind of gathering myself, that he just waited until I told him what to do. So we worked on that, and eventually we worked on turns on the haunches so that his hind legs are planted and he's just moving his shoulders to the left or right. And this does take some core strength, it takes some hindquarter strength, and it requires some balance. So those are kind of the things that I'd like to accomplish, because he tends to be a little bit clunky on the trails. So part of it, he's just really, he's got really heavy shoulders, so he tends to be on his forehand, which isn't necessarily a very balanced way to carry a rider. And he just needs also some fitness. So that's another thing that we can work on, is just making sure that he is walking up and down hills, and we have a great up and down hill in the driveway. We can just do that a few times and work on that. In fact, I can do that just hand walking him. So we want to make sure that we get some of that, and then work on some of those other exercises where we can be really precise about stopping and waiting, and waiting for the next instructions. And then he tends to work in one direction better than the other. He tends to go from right to left better than he goes from left to right. And horses have a dominant side, just like humans do. So it's really good to work on both sides to help them balance, not only for their own longevity and muscle development, but also just to be more comfortable on trails, stepping over obstacles, going up and down hills, things like that. So he's less likely to lose his balance and trip, particularly going downhill, or getting on kind of like narrow trails that might have a somewhat of a drop off on one side or the other. I mean, I don't ride in the mountains typically, so there's not really too many big consequences, but I mean, there are definitely hills and valleys around here in Western Washington. And I also got some ideas for, we didn't work with Bragi at all today, but definitely got some ideas as far as doing some more work with him, just kind of keeping him going on his forward journey. So that's all I have to say about the horsemanship piece. Like I said in the previous segment, I don't have any videos because it's really hard to video when you're actually riding. So I will include a photo of Odin at the end of this, him kicking up his hills. So have a great Thanksgiving, and if you celebrate, and I'll see you next time.